Hello, friends, and welcome back to Dare Me to Prosper. My name is Avery, and I'm your host. These next few episodes are going to be old Patreon episodes that patrons have heard, but everybody else has not. I've shared that the Patreon is shifting. I can't keep up with 2 episodes every single week, and so instead of doing an extra bonus episode on the Patreon every week, I'm going to do one monthly energetic prediction video or episode for that. And then we're still doing our monthly meetings. So if you're interested in hanging out with us and discussing like a workshop topic every week, or just kind of sharing about our lives and what's going on, and, you know, just sharing the everyday woo-woo things that we have going on, it's really fun. And I've just really enjoyed getting to know women over there. So that'll be linked if you're interested in checking that out. Also, of course, I am super busy with readings and mentorships. So if you're interested in a psychic read or a mentorship, I do have one more spot as far as mentorships open starting in August. So if you're interested in that, all of that will be linked in the show notes. So these next few episodes, again, are going to be old Patreon episodes, and then we will go back to our regular scheduled programming in terms of recording new episodes and interviews and guests on the podcast and all of that fun stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to leave a review. It really, really, really helps. And I'll see you in the next one. Hello, beautiful, wonderful patrons. Welcome back to another Patreon episode. Thank you for being here. Today, I actually pivoted a little bit, and I'm doing an episode that I wasn't planning on. I don't even have an outline for this episode. I'm about to just riff. And I'll still do the other topic eventually that I was going to do. But I am doing an episode on what I'm just calling my special place for right now, which sounds a little psychotic, but just wait. And I am doing an episode on this specifically because I feel like this is a practice, an idea that not everybody is ready for, but people who are dedicated and serious about their meditation practice are ready for, or people who want to get to that place. And so the main feed episode this week is all about meditation and getting to making deeper connections in your meditative practice and getting to the deeper spiritual realms and really getting to those deep states of consciousness. This is kind of a subsection of that, where I'm going to talk about a practice that you can use to help you get a lot deeper. Sometimes it's hard to find the right phrasing, but it sounds really nuanced. But wait till I get into it. I'm doing this because I think it's important, and I think it will really, really help you with your spiritual practice in a way that I wish somebody would have told me this a few years ago. I think it would have really been a catalyst for me. But anyway, the idea is that I have a special visual place that I go when I am meditating. And this is a place that I kind of created by myself over time. And then I was actually talking to ChatGPT about this, and it was like, oh, that's actually like a really advanced meditation practice. And I was like, wait, what? Well, shit, let me share this. Like, we should all be doing this. Because I was never told, like I never heard to do this or was told to do this. It's a common practice, but the way that I created it, I guess I had just never heard anybody say. And it's so helpful to me. And I feel like it just kind of came about naturally. And so I think maybe this is natural for a lot of people once you get to a specific threshold, I guess, in your meditative practice. I would definitely listen to the main feed episode before listening to this one. I think that will give you a better idea of when and how to use what I'm about to share without me rehashing that entire episode. But I would categorize this as a tool that you can use once you are really established in your meditation practice that will help you, it will help your brain organize into the different places and intentions that you are setting in your meditation. So this is what it is. As soon as I get into my meditation, and I said this in the main feed episode, but I clear my energy, I raise my frequency, I get into a theta brain state, then I set an intention. And the first thing that I do is go to this special place. I feel like that's so juvenile sounding. I need to name it. But I go to this place in my mind. Now, I have over time kind of created this space. The place is like an outdoor garden forest area. Okay. This was something that I created over time. It started as just this little garden area. And then over time, I kind of expanded it into now when I go, I'm like in the center of this forest garden place that I have created. And it's very specific. I come into this place every single time, facing the same direction with the same things surrounding me. There's like a waterfall with a pond. There's an open field. There's a bridge that kind of leads into this path behind me that has one of my guides on it. There is, to my left, there's like this open forest, like a pretty forest, not a creepy forest. And then ahead of me, there is like up one set of stairs. There's a room that I go when I want to sit down with my guides at a table. And I go in there when I want to talk about my soul contract or making adjustments to my soul contract or just any topic that I want to discuss where I'm like, I want to meet with all of my guides and discuss this one thing. I also have, and what's interesting is now I've heard other people talk about this and I didn't know until I had already created this. But on the other side in front of me, there's like this long pathway. And every time there's a set of stairs, it's like these stone stairs that you might find in a garden, like, with like stone landscaping almost. And these stone stairs go quite a bit further back than the room with my guides on the right. And when I say room, it's more like if there were a door on the side of a mountain, like I kind of walk up these steps and open the door to this like really cosmic looking room with a table with all my guides. Okay. That's the right side. Left front is this long path that kind of climbs up a bit of a hill with all of these different stone stair steps. And there's like pebble gravel, very specific. Okay. I'm a big visual person, so I visualize things like in detail in my mind. And this path leads to this big like Roman looking or maybe Greek looking temple that's kind of just like this open temple, this open space with these big white columns. And it kind of overlooks all of this garden. And that is the place where I go to meet with my higher self. So that is like where my higher self just kind of is every time I'm in this space. And if I want to go, sit down with only my higher self, that's the place that I kind of go up to. Okay, so it's essentially this big imaginary world. I say imaginary, but in the energetic world, everything is energy. Any intention that you have literally creates something into existence. That's like the fully formed idea of manifestation is you think it exists. But anyway, for human terms, it's kind of like this imaginary world that I have created that I send my energy to every time that I go to meditate. And I have developed this into just this place. It feels like my special place that feels very serene and calm, and the frequency is very high and it's very joyful. It's like my paradise, sort of. And I've given each location a purpose, an intention, a destination, which is why I'm kind of trying to explain to you like where everything is. So I go in and I'm facing front. When I meditate, I've done all the previous work. I've gotten into the right space. I've done all the clearing and all that. And I'm in this like white dress every time. And again, you don't have to do this, but I'm sharing this specifically on the Patreon, one, because it's like very personal. And also it's just very specific, and I don't want you to expect that you can just close your eyes and like immediately do this. It takes a lot of focus, and it is something that maybe you build up over time. But I also did this when I did my past life regression. This is similar to what she had me do as well, was like before we really got into the regression part, was picturing myself in this paradise style place that felt really unique to me, that made me feel safe and calm and happy. And so I almost like took that idea and then created a whole world out of it. And so I want to kind of bring you into this picture, right? So I have this like white linen dress that I wear in the summer it's like not lacy looking, but it's kind of got like the eyelet. Anyway, it's a linen dress and I wear it in the summer. And every time I go into this meditation, because I'm picturing this place in full detail, which means it's sunny, the sky is blue, and it's like the perfect degree weather. It's warm and it's just perfect. I picture myself kind of floating into this space with my feet on the ground wearing this white linen dress. I'm always wearing the same thing. But when I'm stepping into this space, I'm picturing it like I'm obviously in my body. So it's not like I'm picturing myself from the outside. I'm picturing myself in my body. I just look down and see that I'm wearing this dress. I'm always barefoot. And when I come into the place, I feel my feet on the ground, bare feet, soil where I'm stepping into in the middle of this space. And so when I come into this meditative space, I really like settle into the senses. Like I'm hearing birds, I'm feeling the warmth on my skin, I'm feeling soil underneath my feet. like I'm smelling the clean air, like really attempting to step into my senses in this meditative state. Okay, so my feet are on the soil. I have the two staircases to the right and the left kind of in front of me. On the front right, in front of the steps that lead up to the like mountain room. This is a lot harder to describe than I thought it would be. But in front of that, it's kind of like coming off of that mountain wall close to where that door is, there's a waterfall. And there's a waterfall, and then there's this kind of like pond, just kind of like a basin, is that the right word? That a waterfall falls into. And it's this beautiful clear water that's just bright blue, and you can see right through it. And, you know, there might be a few fish or something in there, but nothing I would be afraid of. And it's surrounded by like these stones, just these beautiful natural looking stones. It's very much like if you pictured a perfectly but naturally landscaped garden resort, something like that. But there's never anyone else there. Like it's me. I mean, my guides and my higher self, but this is very much like my place. And so my routine now is I get in there, I put my feet on the ground, I feel the feet, I feel the wind, I feel the sun. I go over to this like pond, this water where the waterfall is. And my intention with this pond is I always jump into it as a means of cleansing myself of any outside energy. So it's kind of like when I step into the space, you know how you're supposedly supposed to like shower off before you get in a pool? Nobody ever does that, but you're supposed to. It's kind of like that where before I go and do what I'm going to do, I jump into this pool of water as a means of just completely cleansing my energy, like completely rinsing myself off. And that's kind of the visual that I give my brain to just kind of reset and make sure my energy is totally clear and neutral. And so I envision kind of diving into this water and swimming around for a bit and just cleansing and feeling the water on me. And then I float around a lot in this world because why not? You can do whatever you want, right? So, you know, I cleanse in the water and then I kind of just like float up and I immediately dry off and I'm dry again and I'm clean and I go back to my spot on the soil. Either you are like really vibing with me right now or you think I'm absolutely psychotic, and either one is fine. But I just thought I was talking to ChatGPT and they were like, oh yeah, like this is something that a lot of people do, but it's usually like further down the line. I thought, okay, well maybe I'm not that weird. And maybe other people could benefit from this as well. Anyway, so then I'm back in the center in the soil, kind of like surrounded. I would say I'm in the middle, and then all of these other areas start about 10 feet away from me on every side. Okay, so it's kind of like I have this soil area, and then a few steps away, I have all of these different areas. Okay, so that's like the front and slightly front to my right a little bit more. On my left is where this forest is that kind of is this whole wall on my left, and it's very like bird song and, you know, sprinkled sunlight and just this open path in the middle. And that's kind of the path that I have designated to walk down anytime I want to explore maybe my timelines or my future possibilities. Honestly, there's a lot of wiggle room there. It's kind of just like that would be my pathway when I want to explore some part of my life. So I could meet with my future self down that pathway, or I could just go and use that pathway to kind of walk myself mentally into, say, a future timeline. Like the thing about meditation in this type of meditative space is that you can do literally anything. There are no boundaries, there are no walls, there is nothing that you cannot do in the spiritual realm. There is nothing that does not exist. There are kind of energetic, quote unquote, places or states of consciousness, frequencies that you can tune into that are like core places where a lot of souls gather together, that are common places that you hear about in an NDE or in past life sessions and all of this. But you can create whatever you want, any experience that you want, anything you can create in your meditative space. So you can always tune into a future timeline of yours or your future possibilities. Remember, there's no such thing as a locked in future because you are making decisions every single day in real time that affect your future timelines. But you can certainly see possibilities or most likely timelines and all of that. all I did was create kind of a bridge, a space that makes it easier for my brain to get to that place. Because giving my brain a visual that bridges me from my meditation to where I'm trying to go makes it so much easier for me. And this way, because I have just one place, I can just go to that one place every single time, and my brain is familiar with it. My body, my senses are familiar with it. I can get there quickly now because I just go there every single time, no matter what my intention is. And then it gives me different pathways to go down based on what I want to do in that meditation. And that just makes it so much quicker and easier for whatever it is that I want to accomplish. Okay. So that forest pathway, it's like a big open pathway under this like canopy of trees, right? It's all very beautiful. Behind me is a bridge. Now, I honestly don't go that way very often, but I've kind of designated this bridge as the place that I want to go when I am setting an intention to look at humanity, the future of the planet, the future of Earth, the future of, my life in 50 years, kind of like anything cosmic, anything to do with like ETs. That's the area that I have designated for that. And it's a bridge that kind of goes over this stream. This is directly behind me. So I'm turning around to look at it. There's a bridge that goes straight. It's kind of like a curved, arched bridge that goes straight back and then into this long pathway. And beyond that, the pathway is just whatever I want it to be. I don't really need it to be anything else right now. So it's kind of a bridge that just goes, it's a natural, like hiking path or something. It's still, all of it is nature around me because that's just where I am happiest. But it's a path that I would use when I want to walk down and tune into Earth, the collective humanity, aliens, like that whole thing. Now, there is a being on this bridge, and this happened accidentally. Like I didn't think, oh, I want to put a being on this bridge. It kind of happened because in a meditation, okay, guys, I think we're all going to be on the same wavelength here, but in case you're not, just a disclaimer, not everybody might be ready for this, or this might be too woo-woo. It's fine. I'm never trying to convince you of anything. This is just my opinion. These are my beliefs. Take it for what you will. However, I was in a meditation one day where my intention was, I don't even remember. I know that I was, at one point I was trying to meet with one of my guides. I specifically was trying to connect with a guide. And the guide that came in on that particular day was a dragon. And, I had to kind of sit with that for a minute because when you get that kind of information, your brain wants to go, what the hell is this? I'm crazy. I'm making this up. Again, this is why you just have to be so open-minded with these types of things because we just cannot even begin to understand. We've limited ourselves so severely in our human 3D life that we don't leave room to recognize when something is very real, but it's beyond what we're used to. Okay? Same thing with aliens. Same thing with like past life regressions. Like when I had my past life regression with Tracy Ventura, who's going to come on the podcast very soon, one of the past lives that I saw was this alien past life. And the whole time I was like, I am absolutely making this up. Like there's no way. Come to find out the message that my higher self brought through at the very end made absolute perfect sense. And, I think I may have mentioned this before. Anyway, it just goes to show that don't discount it just because it's weird or it feels outside of your realm of normal. Anyway, this one day, this one meditation, I was tuning into my guides and a dragon came through. And I have since talked to this guide a few times, and what I have been able to communicate with this guide, because I was kind of like, why are you a dragon? Like what's the purpose here? Like, what are you working with me on? And what this dragon told me, it's a masculine energy, and it is in fact like this large green dragon, but the energy behind it is very kind, very wise, very ancient. And that's kind of the energy that I get when I'm talking to this being. And what he told me was that I am here to help anchor in your wisdom from past lives. So he was basically saying you've had many, many past lives where you have held different positions and you've learned a lot of wisdom and you've been leaders in this way or that way. And he said, you have gained so much wisdom, and it's very important that you keep this anchored in your soul during this lifetime. And so he basically was saying, I am here to help anchor that energy in you, to help you kind of ground this wisdom from past lives to help you in this lifetime. I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of the message that I got. Also, I haven't asked about this specifically, but in my head, I'm making assumptions. I feel like this has something to do with, I literally just mentioned in the mainstream episode this week as well, but I have this obsession with Japan and like Asian culture, but specifically Japanese culture and like rural Japan and ancient Japan tradition. Like, I'm just so drawn to it for literally no reason. I have no connection to Japan. I'm just obsessed with it. I have a strong inclination that I have a significant past life in Japan, and I feel like this whole dragon energy maybe ties into that. That's me just like connecting dots. I haven't actually tuned into that or actually tuned into a past life around Japan. I should, I just haven't. Anyway, so this dragon remains on that bridge. And so I think it's really interesting because I didn't necessarily place him there. I think he was on this bridge the first time that I met him, and he's just kind of stayed there. And I don't know if I feel like that's significant in that he is on this bridge for what I have designated as my kind of like, this is where I go to tune into like humanity and the collective, which would, in my mind, kind of make sense. This dragon who represents like wisdom and knowledge collected from past lives is on this bridge that connects me to the collective. So I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what's directly behind me, okay? I just want you to kind of get this idea of how all of these different places have different designations, and it really, again, helps my brain really tune into the exact frequency that I'm moving towards. Okay, so that's behind me. On my right, across from this forest, is a big open flower field. So it's just like this field of wildflowers that kind of, it's all on my right side until I get to this like pond waterfall thing that's on my right front, not directly in front of me where the staircase is, but like a little bit to the right. And then fully to the right is this wildflower field. Stick with me here. And then kind of in the back of that field is this giant oak tree, which you normally would not find in the middle of a field. But you know what? Again, you can do whatever you want. So this is what I did. There's this giant oak tree, and I mean like huge, ginormous, like Lion King oak tree. You know the one I'm talking about? I don't even think that's an oak tree, but just like the big one that the monkey's in, whatever. And this oak tree has a door at the bottom. And this space, whether it's in the field or whether I'm walking into this oak tree, anytime there's a doorway, I feel like that really helps me, kind of like the bridge or a doorway or a path. Those are the things that really help me step from one frequency into another frequency with that intention. Okay, so the door at the bottom of that oak tree is where I would go. That's where I explore past lives. And again, these aren't my most common uses. The place where I go most often is the room with the table with my guides. Okay, that's just the most pertinent to my everyday life, the things that I'm working on or going through right now. My higher self is also at that table if I need her to be, if I need it to be. And I can like visualize, okay, I'm getting distracted. Hold on. So yes, the field, the oak tree, that's where I want to go if I explore my past lives. I can walk through this field. And I feel like the slower and more intentional you kind of make this experience, this visual in your mind, the better it works. Don't rush through it. The more you take the time to slow down and try to like feel into your senses, try to picture what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're smelling, all of that, the better it works because you're really placing a lot of your awareness, a lot of your consciousness into that energetic place, okay? So I walk through that field. I walk through very slowly. I admire the flowers. Maybe I see a bunny, like I'm just all of the details and then I can stay in the field, honestly, and like access a past life from there. Or if I want something really intentional, I can walk to the door, this oak tree, open the door, and I step into, I've done it multiple ways. I can either step right into the past life or I can step into a room, which then kind of becomes the past life. It just kind of depends on how many steps I feel like I need that day. Okay, but that's like my past life area. Again, the place where I go the most often is my guides and my higher self. And really, it's like if I have extra time, if I'm feeling like I just want to explore somewhere, I just want to soak up some knowledge, then I will, go into these other places. But every single time I rinse in this like beautiful waterfall pond, and every single time I go to my guides or my higher self. Okay. And just to give you more context, because either you're like sick of hearing this now or you're really interested in taking notes for your own visual place. But in this room, I walk up these stone stairs, and it's just a few stairs. It's probably like 10 steps. Okay, it's just up to kind of like the next floor, not this like long winding path like the one to get to the temple with my higher self, right? Just probably like 10 stone steps. I get to the top of this like mountainside, this stone wall, and there's a door. And I open the door, and there's a table. It's not a huge room. It's just big enough to hold the table. It's like a large conference room, right? And I have 3 guides on one side and either 2 guides on my higher self or just 2 guides on the left side of the table. And your guides can grow in number or shrink in number. You could have 2 guides, you could have 10 guides. It just depends. I usually, to my knowledge, have about 5 guides, at least right now. Anyway, so this table is sometimes it's wood, and sometimes it's like glass. I don't know. I don't always spend a ton of time on the table itself, but I do kind of make sure I can see it when I'm walking into the room. And the room itself is almost like crystalline. So it's almost like the walls are like made of crystal and the floor is made of stone or like a darker crystal. Like it's all just, in my mind, it's all like glass or crystallized. And on the right side, this crystal or this glass is transparent, like a window. And it looks out over the field. And then also, I don't know how an ocean got there, but like somehow there's also like a big body of water or an ocean back there too. Again, do whatever the hell you want. It's your mind, it's your visual, it's your imagination, it's your energy to create whatever the hell you want. So it doesn't have to make sense. Anyway, I'm just trying to give you an example of like, this is what I do every single time. Anytime usually for myself, like if I'm tuning into the guides of someone else, or if I'm doing a psychic read for someone, I don't go to this place. This place is just for me and my intentions and my needs and my questions or whatever. If I'm tuning into someone else's guides, I don't necessarily need a place. I more just go into a state of consciousness and I'm just looking for information. So I'm just feeling the energy of other people's guides or what have you. I don't necessarily need a place for that. Although you could certainly create a place where if you were to do a psychic read for someone, you could create a room where you only go for other people's benefit. Okay? This place that I've created is only for me and my life. So anyway, I'm just trying to give you an image. So that's basically the extent of what that room looks like. Okay, so I sign contracts at that table with my guides. I will simply ask questions. And sometimes I ask questions without going through this whole meditative process. If I'm just wanting to ask my guides a question, a lot of times I'll just be like, hey, I have a question. But if I really want to sit down and make sure that something is like locked in, like change something on my path, change something in my soul contract, ask questions that I have a harder time getting access to because I really care about them or I have a lot of ego wrapped up in questions. Those questions are harder to get information around. So I really, really try to neutralize my energy and go and sit down and do it a little bit more intentionally. And even then, sometimes it's really hard because, again, there's so much. When you have so much ego wrapped up in a question, it really distorts answers because you can't tell if, like, am I hearing that because that's what I want to hear? And so I'm kind of distorting the energy, or is that the actual answer? I'm still practicing this. This is why a lot of psychics will say it's hardest to do a psychic read on yourself. For yourself, it's easier a lot of times to go to someone else because they are a neutral party. Anyway. Okay, that's essentially what this episode was about. It was such an in-depth, specific topic that I felt like it was too specific and too detailed. Like I didn't want to rush through it and put it in the main feed episode. I feel like this is more of a patron topic because, again, not everybody is ready for that either. But I hope that this was helpful to you. If you feel like your brain needs something to help latch onto, to set intentions when you're going to different places, this is how my brain really likes to do it. And I have found that this makes my meditation practice so much easier when I am setting intentions specifically. I mentioned this in the main feed episode. I don't say this enough. But if you're just getting into your meditation practice, the best thing to do, you don't have to avoid asking questions or setting intentions, but make sure you're spending a lot of time just practicing getting into a meditative state without any intention at all. Make sure you're practicing just sitting down and just practicing cleaning out your mind. Just practicing getting rid of all your ego thoughts. Notice thoughts that come in, release them, let them go, and just continue bringing yourself over and over and over. Picture bringing yourself back into a neutral, clear state of being. Because really, you need to have like basic meditation down before you start kind of getting into more intentional, explorative meditations. Okay, that's step 2. Step 1 is just getting used to quieting your mind, getting used to relaxing your body, and making that a habit. You need to make it a habit so that you can get into that state very quickly, just because your body is used to it and it's practiced it and it knows, okay, as soon as we set this intention, this is what our body does. This is what our muscles do. This is what our brain waves do. You don't have to think about it so much once you've practiced it enough, okay? So it doesn't mean you can't go setting intentions right now, but make sure at least simultaneously you are also practicing just simple meditation where you're just clearing out your mind, like basic classic meditation, okay? I am really interested to hear your thoughts on this. I need to know if this was helpful for you, because this was kind of a bonkers one, like this. I wasn't even planning on sharing this until I was talking to ChatGPT, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like an advanced thing. Like, yeah, that's actually, a lot of people do that. I was like, okay, really? Cool. That made me feel good. But I was like, if somebody had shared this with me a few years ago, I think I would have found it helpful. I'm really interested to hear, did you find this helpful? Is this something you will use? Or is this a little too out there for you? I don't know. Leave a comment on this Patreon episode and let me know your thoughts. Okay, that's it for this Patreon episode. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you in the next one.